Order. The member for Solomon has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. If the government's Malaysia people swap is going to stop the boats, as the Prime Minister claims, then why is she building a 1,500-bed detention centre in Darwin?
The Prime Minister. Order. 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 The Leader of the House.
Yes, Mr Speaker. Standing Order 64.
The Manager of Opposition Business.
On the point of order taken by the Leader of the House, Standing Order 64A is supposed to deal with issues where people are being called by their first name or their last name or names altogether different to their seat. It doesn't deal with the issues of he or she, and that point of order was taken yesterday. It was trivial and silly then, and it's trivial and silly now, and I would ask you not to uphold it.
Order. 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 This is something that I hear often, not until now, by way of point of order, a concern of this similar ilk. I would simply invite members to look at questions in the past where and this will get me into trouble over my English expression, the personal pronoun is used. So, I'll be corrected, whatever. The question was directed to the Prime Minister, and in the context of the direction to the Prime Minister, every time the Prime Minister is mentioned in the question, I am not expecting her to be referred by the expression of her parliamentary title. Order. Order. I understand people's concerns in other contexts. I understand that. But in the framing of this question, I could not rule it out of order on that basis. The order. The Leader of the House.
Yes, Mr Speaker. I certainly respect your ruling, and I wouldn't have expected it to be ruled out of order. It is simply making the point, Mr Speaker, about respect for the office of Prime Minister.
Order. 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 The member for Canning. All I simply say is points have been made. Reluctantly, I allow those points by allowing points of order. I hope that that's recognised in its totality about when people rise for other points of order. The question has been asked. The Prime Minister has the call. The Prime Minister.
Very much. And in answer to the member's question, first and foremost, can I say to the member she would be aware that we have people.
Order. Order.
Just proves the point.
No, the Prime Minister will resume her seat. Order. I'm trying to reduce my interventions, but please, can we get back to issues that people would expect us to be discussing and to discuss those issues in a civil manner? The Prime Minister has the call.
Thank you very much.
She should be heard in silence. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and I'm endeavouring to answer the member's question and to answer it because it is a question about an important policy area, a policy area that goes to our core national interest. The answer to the member's question is as follows. The member is probably aware that we do have already in detention asylum seekers, and so we do need detention capacity for asylum seekers who are currently in Australia. The member may also be aware that we use detention capacity for more than asylum seekers who arrive unauthorised by boat. We use detention capacity for a wide variety of purposes related to immigration management, so people are detained for other reasons. Can I say to the member as well, the question before the Parliament that will come next week won't be a question, it will be introduced next week, it won't be a question about whether or not she believes in the Malaysia arrangement. That's a matter for her, and she may choose on the weekend to consult her constituents about their views about national security, their views about border protection, their views about refugee and asylum seeker policy. But there will be nothing in this Parliament that asks her to vote on the question of whether or not she endorses the arrangement with Malaysia. The vote in this Parliament will be on amendments to the Migration Act, which would enable the member, if she was a member of the government, and if she ever served in a future government in the capacity of Minister for Immigration.
Further debate the question. The Prime Minister resume her seat. The member for Solomon on a point of order.
Yes, Mr Speaker. Relevance. I actually asked about the 1500...
The member for Solomon will resume her seat at the same time as the member for Solomon rose. I was inviting the Prime Minister to not further debate the question. The Prime Minister has the call, and I would hope that she was in conclusion. The Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. And I was specifically asked about detention capacity in view of the Malaysia arrangement, and so I am addressing that. And I am pointing out to the Parliament that in relation to the Malaysia arrangement, no one will be asked to vote on that. People will be asked to vote on amendments to the Migration Act, which will enable a government, including this government, to process people offshore.
Will resume his seat. The Prime Minister. Order.
And in
Prime
conclusion,
Minister is
Mr.
concluding.
Speaker.
Order. Order. The Prime Minister has the call. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. And in conclusion, Mr Speaker, I will be asking, as I am asking now, members of the opposition to very seriously consider their position on these amendments, given the seriousness of this issue to our national interest.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Well, a supplementary question to the Prime Minister based on the answer that she's just given. Mr Speaker, the arrangement between Senator Brown and the Prime Minister requires the Prime Minister to discuss and negotiate any planned legislation. Now, given the answer that she's just given to the question that she's just had, I asked the Prime Minister why hasn't she discussed this legislation, if it's so important, with Senator Brown.
Order! Order! The member for Melbourne Ports will leave the chamber for 1 hour under 94A. He will consult with the member for Bowman about timing again. Order. Before giving the call to the Minister for Health, who I appreciate has approached the dispatch box with a point of order, can I say to some of her frontbench colleagues that I would prefer, if they have comments about proceedings and their worry about whether they are in order, that they take points of order. The Minister for Health and Ageing.
Mr Speaker, I'm simply asking whether it's appropriate within the standing orders to ask a supplementary question which is not related to the question that was originally asked.
Order. 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 I refer members to my comments that I made about what I believe to be permissible in supplementary questions, and on that basis I rule the supplementary question out of order. But I do note that a point has been made, and in other jurisdictions, it probably would open the door for a supplementary. But I don't think that is consistent with those that I outlined initially that I would allow for supplementaries. The manager of opposition business.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. On the ruling you've just made, in order to clarify that, because I think that is a departure from the standing orders, and with great respect to your ruling, Standing Order 101B says allow supplementary questions to be asked to clarify an answer to a question asked during question time, and that is why the Leader of the Opposition couched his supplementary question in reference to the Prime Minister's answer she had given to the member for Solomon. As a consequence, I would put it to you that it is very much in order.
Well, I have ruled, and I say to my learned friend again, that I take on board his comments, but I set down some principles about supplementary questions, and I believe that my ruling is aligned to those comments, and perhaps we should all revisit them. But again, I stress that a point was made in the point of order.